Spoilers for Chapter 1125 have just released, and boy do I feel bad for Saturn. The cover story is another picture of Yamato. I'm going to skip past that to go right back into the chapter. The chapter starts off in Egghead Island. Marines are talking about the Seraphins, and they're being recharged before being taken to Marine ships. And while this is happening, Lucci and Kaku are boarding Marine ships too. And one of the Cypherpole agents that doesn't know that Stussy was a fake and that was made by Vegapunk asks where Stussy is, and Lucci informs him that he killed her. We don't see any emotions on Lucci's face, but Kaku seems to be holding back emotion. And it's stated that we don't see Stussy or Kizaru in this chapter, which kind of sucks. I wanted to see Kizaru talk about killing his best friend more and the back and forth he was going on in his head. Then we cut straight to Saturn, and he's remembering what happened in Mary Joy's 200 years ago. And Saturn was the one 200 years ago that ordered a group of scientists to destroy the giant robot E-Myth, but they chose to hide it and study it in secret. If he could have watched over the scientists more, he could have prevented this from happening altogether. Next, Saturn talks to the 9 vice admirals. He tells them that everything they came for was good, like the power plant, York, and the punk records, but they also suffered a great failure since Vegapunk's message was shown to the whole entire world, and now the whole entire world knows about how the world is sinking. One of the vice admirals, Doberman, asked Saturn, Saint Saturn, as a soldier of the government, I would like to ask this question. If our action is considered a failure, then does that mean Vegapunk told the truth in his message? Saturn does not like this at all. Any talking back, he will not tolerate it. And without a word, he blows Doberman's head off with his powers, like he did when he first transformed in chapter 1094. And it was in front of all the vice admirals, and they were astonished. For some reason, the Marines asked for the medical team, assuming that Vice Admiral Doberman is still alive from his head being blown off, which I found funny. Alright, and then we cut to the lava phase, and York notices that the cloud machine is working by itself. She tries to stop it, but it's too late. And Punk Records, the upper part of the giant egg, detaches itself from Egghead Island and flies away to the clouds. York is annoyed by this and says, damn it, they took Punk Records. And now we cut to Mary Joy's, and we see the food shortage crisis is everywhere, and the whatever they're called are panicking. And this is when the chapter gets really interesting. In the Pangea Castle, we see that figurine Garland is wearing an elegant suit and is walking to the room of authority. He walks in and sits in one of the chairs, and he addresses the other 5 elders informally. He just talks like a normal, person. He says, I'm here because I just received an order. Nerjuro and Wakuri, 2 of the 5 elders, are confused. Wakuri responds, what is it with your tone, Garland? Watch your mouth. Garland responds, from this moment on, the Vegapunk York will be placed under his direct command, and he will assume position of the warrior god of science and defense. I find this hard to believe because when we go back to the God Valley flashback, we see that Garland was started off as a slave and bring himself up to the leader of the Holy Knights. So I don't know when and where he would become a god of science and defense. The 5 elders are stunned, knowing that this means Saturn's death, and Mars says it can't be. Garland says it will get messy from here. The world will be in a state of turmoil like never seen before. Let's make the world a better place together, my fellow elders. I think Garland knows that he's on the evil side of One Piece, but I feel like he might want to think that he's on the good side. Alright, then we cut back to Egghead Island, and we see that Saturn falls on the floor screaming in front of the shocked vice admirals, and black flames and lightning erupts from Saturn's body. Imu must give them their powers to transform into these creatures if he's able to, execute them on the spot without even being there. It wasn't even like it was a black lightning strike from the sky. It was from inside of Saturn's body. Saturn starts screaming, Red King is confused, and Saturn realizes what's happening. He knows that it's Imu who's doing this. And we see Saturn's body rapidly grows older and is wrinkled like a mummy. And this makes sense since the elders are around 800 years old or older. And the vice admirals are still shocked and they don't know what to do. Then Saturn hears Imu's voice in his head. Imu asks Saturn why he let Joy Boy escape. Saturn asks for mercy, and he claims that Luffy's power was unpredictable and it was beyond his comprehension. So Luffy might be closer to Imu's strength than we might know or think. Saturn starts screaming again, and there's a huge explosion of black flames and lightning. And after the flames die down, only Saturn's skeleton remains on the floor. R.I.P. R.I.P. Saturn. We cut back to Punk Records that's flying in the sky over the sea, far away from Egghead Island. And we find out that Shaka, Edison, Pythagoras, and Atlas all survived, and they're talking about York and Punk Records. I don't know where Oda's going with this. I kind of thought it was a smart decision for Lilith to be the last sane Vegapunk alive, and she would go with the Straw Hats. But we'll see what these four do later on, which makes this a better choice. Pythagoras says brainwaves can connect this place from anywhere in the world, so it's possible for York to access their brain information too. Edison responds, I know, but it's better that we just leave it intact in your hands. We will take care of it until humanity figures out how to use this brain well. And Shaka says, because of York, who shot us, we failed to take the laboratory with us too. I guess that was also part of Vegapunk's plan. And Pythagoras chimes in that we can't invent anything right now due to lack of budget and materials. You know, they're already looking into the future and making new inventions, which is pretty cool. And then Edison drops the bombshell. He says that is where our friend will come in, and we will find out who this friend is very soon. We can see inside the egg dome, there's a long corridor with many replacement parts that the Vegapunk's clones. The four Vegapunks decide to build a new body, conjoining all of them together into four. They're using Edison's head, Shaka's body and legs, Atlas's left arm, and Pythagoras' right arm. And they're all talking to each other inside of the same brain. It also seems that Stella is actually dead, because we don't hear her talk at all. Then for a couple lines, they joke around for a little bit about how they constructed their body. And then Edison calls his friend, Haridus and Weatheria. He says, hello, Weatheria, this is Vegapunk here. And Haridus says, what? What do you want? Aren't you dead? And I don't know if I missed something, but I don't know who Haridus is. I'm assuming she's a part of the Revolutionary Army, and that will give them access to Dragon, because we'll see what happens later on in this chapter. Since the last 2 pages of the chapter take place in the Kambaka Queendom, Koala is summarizing Vegapunk's speech for everyone. They all realize that the world is going to be sinking into the ocean, and Sabo says, then it makes sense. The Tenryubito choose to live on top of the red line, the highest location in the world. It's like the Celestial Dragons knew about this years ago, and they most likely have. Ivankov says, and that's why the world government orders slaves to build giant bridges at Tequila Wolf, Vodka Wolf, Rum Wolf, and Bourbon Wolf since 700 years ago. This has been a plan of Emu for a while. Once things reach a boiling point where he might be revealed to the public, he'll flood the earth again and start over. That's his main plan. I'm excited to find out what are his motives behind wanting to do this, wanting to be the king of the world. I don't know if he's similar to Blackbeard in a sense, or maybe he and Joy Boy fought over Nefertari D. Lily. And finally, we see Dragon standing on a beach and talking to himself. You know, I've seen all the memes about Dragon looking east when big things happen. He stayed at his desk, all those memes. But I think he's gonna be a big part of the story coming up, and we're gonna see what his true power is. Because if he's called the world's dangerous man, he has to be pretty strong. Dragon thinks to himself, Vegapunk, there's no guarantee that the people who believe in your last words will only make preparations for peace. We must hurry up and finish this, or the fight among the citizens to secure a safe place to live will arrive soon. It seems that Dragon is getting ready to take the Revolutionary Army into war. I was expecting Dragon to end up fighting Garling, but now that Garling has moved up into the 5 Elders, he's probably going to fight that silhouette in the panel of the whoever finds the One Piece will rule the world, since that silhouette will most likely become the leader of the Holy Knights now. But at the same time, I see a Dragon and Akainu fight coming up. Since in the previous chapter, Kizaru talked to Akainu about asking him, have you ever had to kill your best friend? And there's a change in tone in Akainu once Kizaru said that. So I think that's a bit of foreshadowing. But overall, this is a great chapter. There was no Straw Hats in this chapter, and it is one of the best chapters in the recent months. There's no break, and we will most likely go to the Straw Hats arriving in Elbaf, or what I'm hoping is that we stay with Dragon for a couple chapters. Since this chapter ended with Dragon, there's a chance that these next couple chapters stay with the Revolutionary Army and Dragon. One Piece is in a really good spot right now, and Oda is about to drop the best ending sagas in anime and manga history. Stay tuned for some more One Piece videos, and I'll be back.